Hey everyone, my name's Mariel. Welcome back to the What Mariel Made podcast, holiday edition. Hey everyone, it's Mariel. Thanks again for joining. I know it's been a few weeks since I've posted, so thanks for coming on back. If you want to find me in other places here on the internet, you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram, also at What Mariel Made. I update those platforms way more frequently than I upload or update y'all here on YouTube, so go find me there if you're curious on staying up to date with some of my makes. I am a knitter and a maker based out of Northern California, where I live with my husband and our dog Wally. He's sleeping over there, so hopefully he stays asleep, but if we get a package, he might bark, so please forgive that in advance. I have a lot of things to share since it's been a minute since I recorded anything. Got a lot of gift knits, so I'll just jump into some finished objects that are not gift knits first, and then I'll just run through everything that I made to gift this year. So, first of all, just to follow up on the gray Frankenstein sweater that I talked about in the last episode, I did end up finishing that pretty, probably within the day or two after filming that podcast. And this is her. Oops, sorry. Still have to weave in that end. I have a reel kind of showing the progression of this sweater because initially it was a little too short, so I went back and added length to the cuffs and the body. I totally undid the ribbing of the body and added more stock in it and then redid the body ribbing, which honestly wasn't a really big deal, so I'll put in a cutaway of what it looks like on. But yeah, really pleased with how this came out. The yarn itself has been really nice to wear. I've worn this sweater a bunch already, which is what I kind of intended it for, to be a sweatshirt, a sweater that I just treat as a sweatshirt for around the house or whenever I need to just throw another layer on. So very pleased with how this came out. The yarn I used quickly is Cascade Cantata, which is a blown cotton tube yarn that's blown in with merino wool, superwash merino wool. So yeah, technically I guess this could be machine washed. I haven't been brave enough to try that out, but I honestly might try it out at some point, so I will keep you updated if I do end up trying that. And so far the yarn hasn't really pilled too much, at least not noticeably, because the fuzz it's still, yeah, I mean, I guess around the arms it's kind of starting to pill, but it's honestly not, it doesn't look super straggly or messy yet. But again, I will keep you updated as this gets more wear. But I've probably already worn this sweater just around the house 4 or 5 times already, and a few times out of the house, and it still looks fine. So that is my first kind of update on a finished object. I also wanted to show y'all, this is not a fresh finished object, but it's kind of an update that I made to an existing sweater that I finished at the start of this year, so it's been a minute. But this is my cloud sweater by Petite Knit, and what I ended up doing was redoing the neckline after I saw Anna from APT Atelier do this modification to her cloud sweater, and I've also just kind of liked the way that this ribbing with a rolled edge looks, to pay homage to the toast sweater that I feel a lot of us knitters have been trying to recreate or been just really loving the look of. So that was kind of what I was going for here, and yeah, I really like how it turned out. I was already wearing this sweater a good amount, but adding this little change I feel just made the sweater even better for me. This sweater I finished literally in January of this year, I think. And it is a thick, workhorse sweater because I held together 2 yarns together. I held together fisherman's wool alongside a strand of Retrosaria Mondime. Yeah, and so it's like a quite heavy wool sweater, but it keeps me really warm. And when I went over to the Midwest for Thanksgiving, I brought this guy along, and it kept me very nice and cozy and warm. And I love the like speckled look too, how the yarns look and everything. So yeah, just a reminder that you can always go back, pull out a neckline that you don't like, or make small adjustments here and there, and, you know, give your knitwear new life, or yeah, just change things up as you kind of grow and realize how you like or don't like to wear your knits. So that was kind of a nice quick win, quick little project to get done. That is a second finished object like update. Now we're properly getting into gift knits. So a lot of these I've actually already either packed away and sent over to the people that are receiving these things, or they're packed and like sitting under my little mini Christmas tree over here. So I'll just put in cutaways of all of these things as I talk about them. The first finished gift knit I'll talk about is just a pair of vanilla socks that I used, that I made using some yarn that my husband got for me from his recent work trip. He got me a skein of the Lana Grossa Mile Invite Merino hand-dyed yarn in the color 614 Anouge. It's this really pretty, like, deep navy gray that fades into like lighter pastel-y colors, like a pink and a yellow, and like a cream, like an undyed color. And so it was really fun to kind of knit that just in a vanilla sock and see how all the colors like played out. I'm making a separate pair for myself, but this first pair I made actually ended up being like a tad too small, and I was already planning on making some socks for somebody who has feet slightly smaller than mine. So I ended up just kind of repurposing these and wrapping them up as a gift knit. So that is the first gift knit. All the details for the numbers of stitches and the type of heel and the cuff and how many rounds I did for everything are included as per usual on my Ravelry project page for that. So be sure to find that if you're curious. FYI, I only use 2.5 millimeter needles. That's like the size I have for all of my sock knitting supplies. So my normal stitch count is usually 60 stitches instead of like a 64 stitch for using a 2.25 millimeter needle. Just thought I should mention that. But yeah, those are the first finished objects. The next finished object is a scarf, or it's technically a bandana pattern. And I made the EASYPEASY Bandana, which is a free pattern, using the Knit Picks Capra DK yarn, which is a cashmere merino blend yarn. And it's a really yummy yarn. It's very soft before you block it, but then after you block it, it really blooms and softens up even more. I really enjoyed working with it. And the color I used is Eclipse Heather. And I used like almost every last strand or drop of 2 balls. So I did 100 grams total. I like weighed the bit of yarn that I had left over just to see how much was left, and my scale, granted it's not the best scale in the world, but my scale wouldn't even register like the amount of yarn that was left over. So I'm gonna say I used a solid like 100 grams to make this scarf. Yeah, the person who requested this just wanted a really simple triangular scarf, and I want to make one for myself now. I got this yarn on the Knit Pick sale too, so I got it for a really good deal, like basically 60% off, I want to say. And it turned out wonderfully, and it's just like a great classic scarf. My end measurements too are included on the Ravelry page, but I think because I ended up having a slightly different gauge, like the yarn I used is a little thicker than what the pattern calls for, and the needles I think too I sized up. My scarf ended up being a little larger, but honestly, like I prefer that than scarves being a little too small, especially like a bandana type scarf. So again, the finished measurements of everything are included on Ravelry, but I think like the full length of the whole scarf was like over 40 inches. So if you're looking for around that size, check out the EASYPEASY Bandana and the gauge that I used. The next gift knit are a pair of fingerless gloves. This is also a free pattern. These are the Pioneer gloves by Boho Knits. And I used a skein of Pearl Soho Goodwill in the color Olive Oil, which is a yarn that I've been meaning to use for something. And yeah, this was kind of the perfect project to use them on. I still have quite a bit left of the Goodwill as well. It's a really beautiful, I would say it's like a solid sport weight or like heavy fingering yarn. It's really beautiful, non-superwash wool. This color in particular has like lots of subtle shades of green. It definitely comes off more like mossy warm green, but there are flecks of like a bluish threads of wool in it, which I really like. So it has, yeah, more dimension when you look at it up close. But yeah, making these, again, my gauge has been a little like off just because like I'm just using the needles that I have on hand or that are free or that I like, I don't know, I'm most comfortable using. So for those gloves, I was using, yeah, like a heavy fingering sport weight yarn. And I think the pattern calls for like a 2.75 millimeter needle, but I had a 2.5 millimeter needle ready to go because I knew I wanted to knit it using magic loop. So I just used my long 2.5 millimeter needles and it worked out fine. And because these gloves are ribbed, like they're pretty forgiving in terms of like the sizing, and I made these for hands that are definitely bigger than mine, and so I was kind of modeling or having my husband like try them on just to make sure they were still fitting like his hands, which are definitely like his palm is a lot bigger than mine, so it still fit me, fit my husband perfectly fine, so I know they'll fit the final recipient pretty well. And yeah, I'm excited for how those came out. I would definitely make these again. I do want to make a pair for myself. I think it would be perfect for like the chillier mornings on like a dog walk or like driving somewhere when your hands get a little colder. So yeah, the Pioneer gloves were another gift knit. And then next up is the Crocus Headband, which is another free pattern. Basically all the gift knits I have for the most part are free patterns or very like commonly easily found patterns. So I forget the blog or the designer of this headband, but the Crocus Headband, this designer has a lot of free headband patterns. A lot of them incorporate either lace or cables or a little bit of both into the design, so it makes for like kind of a nice intricate but like small and easy to finish pattern. So I ended up finishing this headband, I think it only took me like 2 days. I like started it during the evening of one day and then finished it like within the next day. Yeah, by the evening of the next day. So yeah, maybe like 24 to 36 hour window of time. Obviously not knitting that whole time, but you know what I mean. Really quick. I used a superwash merino nylon blend, like hand-dyed, like worsted weight yarn that I had hand-dyed like, I don't know, maybe back in like February or March. It's just like a really soft ballerina, like light pink and like white. And yeah, that worked up really fast. I'll put in some pictures of what it looks like just like on my head, but I feel like, I don't know that it would keep you like the warmest because it has some lace, but it was my first time like properly knitting lace, and I love it. I love lace. It's so like satisfying to see. I find it really addicting. The only thing is that sometimes it's like hard to remember the lace pattern itself, so yeah, but I definitely foresee more lace in my future. And there's also this pattern I feel like had some kind of like mimic like fake cables, like some of the knit two togethers like mimicked the look of a cable, which I thought was fun alongside the lace motif. So definitely recommend the Crocus Headband if you feel like knitting something really fast and you think, I don't know, it's just like a nice quick project to make. And then the next gift knit that I made is a ribbed hat. I think I've had some like I've definitely had some bad luck with hats, which I'll get into a little bit later, but I ended up using a bunch of stash yarn to make a pretty simple like worsted weight 1x1 ribbed hat. And there's a couple tutorials that I wanted to call out that really helped me kind of like get this thing done. So I cast on from the cuff, or like the very bottom of the hat, and knit up to the point, the crown. So because it was a 1x1 rib, I know that you can technically do like the tubular cast on, and I tried that and I was like not in the right headspace to be like learn that properly and like give it the time of day. So I found a really great Isolde tutorial where she shows you how to cast on for 1x1 rib using the alternating cable cast on, which I found way easier to learn and to approach. And it's the type of cast on also where you can technically like step away and then come back to it, so you don't need like to be totally uninterrupted. So yeah, I really appreciate that tutorial. And then I pretty much just like knit. Again, details are on my Ravelry page for like the amount of inches I knit. And this is going to be for an adult male head. And then for the decreases, I used the Sheep and Stitch classic beanie tutorial on YouTube just to like refer to how she did her decreases for a 1x1 rib hat. And it ended up being pretty good. It does leave you with like a kind of a pointier finish for the hat, but once I blocked it and like tried it on, I had it be a pretty snug fitting hat, so it wasn't super pointy once it was being worn. So yeah, that is it as far as the finished gift knits go. Moving into works in progress, I do have one more gift knit that I am on the hook for. That I do intend to finish today, and that is this Oslo hat by Petite Knit. Let me show you real quick. This is what I have. It's looking a little large. Oh my gosh, when I'm like holding it up, it definitely looks like too big. I don't know. I have this store-bought like Gap. This is like a cotton hat, but I have this store-bought hat. And it's even a little larger than that, but I feel like it'll be okay. Anyway, let's get into the details here. So yeah, Petite Knit, Oslo hat. This is like a tried and true cult classic hat pattern. The yarn I'm using is Barocco Vintage DK. And I got this mainly because the person that I'm gifting this to, I do know that they will likely need something that is easy to care for. So I wanted to make sure it was a machine washable yarn. This is the color Rhubarb. It is like a proper DK weight yarn. And yeah, it's like a wool, nylon, maybe some acrylic or polyamide blend. It's very soft. It's been actually pretty nice to work with. It is a little splitty because of like the nylon in there, but overall it's been a nice yarn to work with. My only issue and like why this hat is a little bigger than it probably should be is because I went up a needle size, because I just like living life on the edge when it comes to knitting hats and their gauge for some reason, I guess. So the pattern calls for 3.5 millimeter. I'm using a 4 millimeter, so like the fact that this is big is really on me, but I think it'll be okay. All right, 2 more works in progress. One is a pair of socks using that same Meilenweit Lana Grossa yarn, but this time these will be for me. So these are honestly just going to be like a toss in my bag, ready to work on whenever to go type project. So I'm going to put that back in my purse. And this next project is one that is like it's my me time, me knitting for myself and things only I want to make time. Project, and it is the Alma Mittens by Skeindir Knits, of course influenced by Florence Handmade by Florence here on YouTube. Everyone's been making these Alma Mittens. And I started the cuff last night and I'm already obsessed. Although I think I'm going to pull this out and redo it because the cuff itself is pretty large. And I have a friend who's also making these right now, and she's a bit farther along than me, but she ended up just doing like a plain ribbed cuff. And the sizing definitely, like the plain ribbing in just one color, looks a lot tighter and snugger. So I think I'm actually going to do like a mix where I pull this out and I'll do normal ribbing just in this like eucalyptus color, and then just do one what is this called? One Latvian braid just at the top before I get into the color work. And I think that will be a nice detail, but it'll account for a slightly snugger fit around the wrist, which is what I'm going for. The yarns I'm using are Peer Gynt from Sandnes Garn in the color Eucalyptus. I have a few. I have a new ball here. This is the color number. But yeah, it's really pretty, like sage, eucalyptus, gray-green. I have this left over from making this sweater, actually. And the white yarn is one that I got secondhand from a friend. Coates & Clark Royal Moulin. Knitting worsted 100% virgin wool. And I have 2 of these balls. If it will focus. I would say this white yarn is a little, or this off-white yarn is a little thicker than the Peer Gynt. Like this one's probably a classic worsted versus the Peer Gynt is like, yeah, it's like a lighter worsted, heavy DK type yarn. So, but I really love these colors together. I'm excited to have a pair of mitts in this color combo, so keep an eye out for that. Will come in, probably be finished by the next time I film. And I think that's it in terms of active works in progress. I have lots of plans though, which I will get into now with acquisitions. So, all right, so for acquisitions, actually, let me call out one more thing. This is also speaking to my bad luck with hats. This was initially also supposed to be a gift knit. You see this guy? This was a version, or this is a version modified of the Musselburgh hat by Isolde that I added color work to, following the color work pattern from a free pattern called the Ferguson hat on Ravelry. I'll make sure everything is linked. And I was actually really enjoy like how the color work looks and the colors that I used. I was inspired by like a different project of the Ferguson hat. I just kind of adapted it to this pattern, but you know, I like living life on the edge, so my gauge was like all over the place. I think I used like 2 or 3 different needle sizes throughout the making of this hat, and if you can't tell, this is definitely way, way, way too big. I think I will try an attempt to felt this because all of these yarns are non-superwash, so they technically should. Let me show you what it looks like on. Because it's, I mean, it's kind of a vibe. If you follow me on Instagram, it was really reminding me of Jessie from Breaking Bad. It's that kind of like skull cap skater boy vibe. So like honestly, I mean, it'll keep me warm, so I may just leave it. But yeah, this just wasn't the vibe for the person that I was gonna gift it to. So this is sitting in my collection now, and honestly, like, it's a very comfortable loose fitting hat, and I don't think it will really give me bad hat hair, or like, you know, because it's not that tight. So we'll see what happens here. And it is reversible, so if I do this, it could also be worn this way, which is also maybe not as much of a vibe, but could potentially be, depending on who's wearing it. I don't know if that it's my vibe though. So yeah, I don't know. But I mean, it's using like mostly really nice tin Peer Gynt from Sandnesgarn, so it's like a really good quality hat, but it's just so weird, the size. Anyway, yeah, bad hat luck. Oh well. Okay, what was I going to talk about next? Okay, acquisitions and plans. I went to the Midwest, as I mentioned before, for Thanksgiving, and we were in Michigan and ended up wanting to go to a Christmas market, because usually they have those over there. And the Christmas market we went to was in, I've got fuzzes all over my face. The Christmas market we went to was the one in Holland. It was a very, very cold day, and it ended up being like a pretty small Christmas market, still super cute, but very small compared to the one we went to last year in Indiana. And I just like did not pack or wear clothes accordingly, because we got a lot of snow early in the season for Michigan, and it was just like a frigid cold day, and it was very windy and icy. Thankfully, there was this amazing stand that was selling handmade mittens and some yarn, like from that farm, from like a local farm. So of course I got myself a pair of mittens. These are them. So what's cool about these is that these aren't necessarily hand knit, but they are repurposed and recycled sweaters that were made into mittens. So, I mean, the color work is gorgeous, and the inside is also made of, they're fleece lined, but the fleece inside is also from recycled, like, sweaters, or, yeah, I guess they got this fleece from, like, some sort of garment. So as you might guess, they're like, I mean, they're pretty big on me, but they were very, very warm, and definitely kept me warm when we were walking around the Christmas market, drinking glühwein and everything. But yeah, I just couldn't pass these up. They were so cute, and yeah, these hold a lot of good memories, and I will, yeah, keep these for when we go to very, very cold places. So really enjoy that. And then the same farm stand, or like, I guess, sheep farm stand, was selling wool that they got from their sheep. I also got this little ornament. So the farm itself and the stand is Shadyside Farm, based out of Holland, Michigan. This is like legitimately like wool from their sheep, and I just couldn't resist. Could not resist. They just put little pipe cleaner face and legs. But yeah, this one just sits right beside my tree right here. So yeah, love that. But from Shadyside Farm, I got a skein of this bulky weight yarn. It's 4.4 ounces, about 8 wraps per inch, 154 yards. And yeah, this is it. It's just the undyed, like, white virgin wool. It's so gorgeous. I don't know what I'm going to make with this yet. And it's fairly soft as well. So yeah, I don't know, but this is going to be saved for something special. Maybe I don't know that it's soft enough. I think it would be soft enough to be like a scarf, or maybe even a pair of mittens or something. Or like worked into a vest could be really nice. But yeah, really, really, I like saw this and immediately had to get it. And this was, I mean, happy to pay whatever they asked within reason. This was $22 for this chunky skein. Definitely more than 100 grams of wool, so not too bad. But yes, this is a very, very nice little gift to myself. And then finally, oh, let me grab the last little bit of acquisitions. My last acquisitions are for my mom, actually, not for me. I'm putting together a little, like, gift bag of things to knit socks with, because she's shown an interest in, she already knows how to knit, but she wants to get more into like sock knitting specifically, because I've been gifting her I've gifted her some wool socks, and she's been a big fan of them, so she wants to be able to make some herself. So I ended up getting her, putting together a little kit. I intend on making a little project bag for her to hold all these supplies together, but so far I've just gotten her a 9-inch circular from ChowGoo. This is the same exact one I use, so it's a 2.5 millimeter. And then I also got her some DPNs in the same size, 2.5 millimeter. I got her some needles, and then I also got her this little like pillowcase to hold some notions. And I just gave her some of mine because I have a lot of them. Enough to share for sure. So yeah, I gave her some plastic stitch markers, a little darning needle, and then some metal stitch markers. So these, as well as the needles and a little project bag, will be part of her gift this year. And I intend on visiting a yarn store when I see her, like go together with her, so maybe we can get her some sock yarn too. I also ended up being able to just make the sewing pouches before editing this video, or like the project bag, so I wanted to show y'all real quick. I followed the zippered box pouch tutorial by the late Melanie Ham on YouTube. Highly recommend this tutorial, especially if you're more of like a kind of, I'm not like a beginner knitter, but I'm not like an expert by any means, but it was still pretty easy to follow. The only kind of like change that I made or thing that I added was I quilted the outside fabric with some cotton batting that I already had in stash, which just added like a nice kind of, you know, touch to the pouch. What you're seeing here is a little separate case for DPNs that my mom could like store her DPNs in without, you know, getting them all like loose in her bag or having them poke out or poke a hole in the pouch. I also realized she has her own set of DPNs, so I ended up not giving her the red ones that I showed you earlier, and these are just example ones for her to see when she opens the gift. But I was really pleased with how this turned out. I just made it up as I went, and made it in matching fabric so that when it's with the pouch, it'll be a nice little matching set and it fits perfectly inside, and she can keep it all together alongside her yarn and projects and knitting notions. So really happy with that, really pleased. And then I also made one more pouch, kind of using this boxy zippered pouch as like the starting point, and then I kind of just riffed on it and did my own thing to make a pouch for a different family member, using some different fabric I had in stash, and adding a fun pop of like color with that neon zipper. I feel like it gives it a little more of like a modern feel with the more traditional gingham, and again just use stash fabric for the lining on all of these. All of this fabric I've had since like 2020, so yeah, it was nice to be able to use things I already had and hand make more gifts than I thought I would be able to this year. So I highly recommend trying this out if you're getting into sewing. I also got these cute stitch markers from the brand Mabel and Jess, or Mabel and Jess Knits on Instagram. This is the Welsh stitch marker set. Comes with a little lighthouse, a letter, a tea bag, and a little lamb. It's inspired by one of Jess's aunts who used to be based out of Wales. I love this little lamb stitch marker because it's actually like a fully like double-sided stitch marker. It's really great quality. And yeah, just really sweet. This little lighthouse is adorable too. Obviously, I'm using it already. I also got a Team Shorty sticker, which is great because I do love my shorty needles, and it comes all with this like little bag to store everything in, keep them safe. So thank you, Jess. I love these new little notions. But yeah, that's that in terms of all the acquisitions. Also, I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention what I'm wearing. This is my Tessicana sweater, which was a test knit that I did earlier this year. Unfortunately, the pattern is not available yet because there's just been some like planning things going on with the designer, so unfortunately it's not available yet, but I do have a Ravelry page, you know, kind of reviewing some of the yarns and stuff that I use, so you can at least look at that. But yeah, really love this sweater. I found it to be, even though it's not like an overtly holiday sweater, it gives me very much like holiday vibes. So I've been enjoying wearing this. And then I also wanted to just give you an idea or two as to how to wrap some of your gift knits if you have like smaller items to give. I filmed a reel covering how I make this type of gift packaging for, like, this has the Pioneer gloves that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, if you're also like a toilet paper roll, paper towel roll hoarder like I am, because you just like hoarding gift crafting supplies, this is a great way to use some of those. So yeah, I just wanted to give a quick shout out, but otherwise that's it. For media favorites, I have a few shout outs for Vlogmases that I've been watching. I mean, there's a lot of Vlogmases going on right now, and I want to watch all of them, but I've had limited time and I haven't been in the right headspace to watch all the Vlogmases that I want yet. So I will just shout out a few that I have been keeping up with. So Caroline McQuiston, per normal, just love her channel in general, and then Laura Penrose's Vlogmases. I've been keeping up with those. And then not Vlogmas, but the Grocery Girls live streams. They're just my fave, and I love having them on in the background while I'm like working or just like cooking. They're just nice to have and like keep me company virtually. So those are the like YouTube shout outs. One non-knitting related channel that I've been enjoying is the Warm Blanket YouTube channel. If you're looking for like just cozy music to have on in the background with like a nice graphic on the screen, I really like the Warm Blanket channel, or just like a fake fireplace channel with like jazz playing in the background, or just like the fireplace crackling itself, just like that type of video. I really like this time of year because I don't have a fireplace, nor is it really that cold where I live, so we don't really need to light a fire. But yeah, that's it for media. And then finally, I just wanted to kind of reflect on some fun things that I've gotten in this last like 2 weekends. I've been able to meet up with some like local knitters. We've been meeting up at this just like a cafe and knitting. So there were like 3 of us that met last week, and then this morning I met up with one other knitter who was available. It's definitely a crazy time because, you know, the holidays and everyone getting ready for travel or having a lot of different events to go to. But yeah, really enjoyed meeting up with all of those knitters, and we intend to keep it going into the new year. So yeah, just a reminder to, like, it's been a really like casual setup. Anyone who's free knows to like show up to a certain place at a certain time, and it's been really nice to just meet and chat and knit for a little bit and then go on with your day. So that's been warming my heart, my little knitting and like community heart this last month, I guess. And yeah, that's it. I got through a lot. Hopefully have a lot to share soon, as well as I kind of move past my gift knitting phase into back to like selfish knitting mode. I also do intend on filming an Everything I Knit in 2024 video at some point. Maybe not before the end of this year, but maybe in January. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate everybody here. Let me know what you have planned, what your like go-to knit project will be for the holidays. Are you someone who's gonna like, you know, try to be knitting a lot? Are you gonna have like a bunch of socks going, something mindless, or like do you have a big project that you're ready to like hunker down and focus on? Let me know. But yeah, otherwise, if I don't see you before the end of the year, I hope you have a cozy time with loved ones and have a great start to this new year. Thanks for watching again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.